Good morning, class 12th. Let's begin with our lecture number 3 of chapter 1, Indian Economy on the Eve of Independence. In this lecture, we shall discuss about the condition of foreign trade under the British rule, occupational structure, demographic profile, and positive contribution by the Britishers in India. Now see, we have already discussed the condition of agriculture sector and industrial sector on the eve of independence. Now let's study about the foreign trade. See, India had acquired eminence in the area of trade, this you know, since ancient times, but the Britishers in India brought an end to it, this you know. Now India was trading well. There was trading of cotton, silk, textile. Now in this topic of the foreign trade under British rule, we shall discuss how our foreign market was destroyed by the Britishers. Fine. What were the consequences that our foreign trade faced? And now see, foreign trade, refers to the trade between countries. Now, India was exporting finished goods. Fine. India was exporting the finished goods of good quality, wooden goods, fine cotton, silk, textiles, iron goods. Okay, fine. So, these all India was exporting. Fine. But because introduction of Britishers and introduction of British goods in the Indian market destroyed our domestic market. Now see, let's begin. Foreign trade under British rule. First point is net exporter of primary products and importer of finished goods. Owing to the colonial exploitation of Indian economy, India became the net exporter of raw material and prime products. On the other hand, it became net importer of finished goods, and our imports including cotton, silk, several type of capital goods produced in England, composition of export and import reflected complete backwardness. Then we have monopoly control of India's foreign trade. Monopoly control means control of a single person. Fine. Single person was British government. Single person was Britain. So, colonial policy of the British government resulted in a monopoly control of foreign trade. Export and import were largely restricted between India and Britain. And this shows that there was a backwardness in the economy. More than 50% of India's foreign trade was directed towards Great Britain. So, there was backwardness. Then we have surplus trade, but only to benefit the British. That means if there is any kind of surplus in the trade, that was not to benefit the domestic country. That means India. That was to benefit the British government. During British regime, our export exceeded our imports. It implied the surplus of trade, but this surplus was not used for the development of the country. It was used by the British government for their own purpose, to meet the expenses of war, for their administrative expenses. Fine. So administrative and war expenses led to the huge drain of Indian wealth. Clear? It compounded the backwardness of Indian economy. Clear? So surplus generated as a balance of trade was only spent to meet the administrative and war expenses. Then, consecutively, poverty and backwardness were increased. These expenses led to the huge drain of wealth as it was not used for investment. Then we have demographic profile during the British rule. See, demographic profile means birth rate, death rate, literacy rate, infant mortality rate, life expectancy. This means your demographic profile. Clear? So, it's very obvious to note that demographic condition during British rule was stagnant. That shows a stagnant feature. Backward economy. So, there are following parameters. Number one is birth rate and death rate. See, birth rate and death rate were high. Fine. Birth rate was nearly 48,000 per thousand respectively, and death rate was 40 per thousand respectively. So high birth rate and death rate shows massive poverty. Then we have second point, infant mortality rate. See, infant mortality rate means death rate of children below the age of 1 year, and this mortality rate was very high. It was about 218 per thousand, while at present it is just 34 per thousand. Earlier it was 218, now it is 34 per thousand. High infant mortality rate shows a sign of poor healthcare. That means healthcare system was not good. Life expectancy, our third point. See, life expectancy means average life of a person. It was as low as 32 years. While at present it is 68 years. So low life expectancies reflect what? Poor healthcare facilities. Then we have literacy rate. Literacy rate was 16% at that time. Getting my point? Literacy rate was 16%, showing backwardness. And out of those 16%, women were just only 7%. Women 7%, male 9%. This shows gender biasness. And literacy rate was low because of social backwardness, economic backwardness, lack of finance, lack of awareness, fine, lack of opportunities, male dominating society. So there are now some conclusions which can be drawn from this, that population of India lived in poverty, fine, high mortality rate, low life expectancy shows social backwardness, economic backwardness, fine. During the British rule, frequent famines and recurring epidemics were the prime causes behind the high mortality rates. Now see, demographic profile we have done: birth rate, death rate, infant mortality rate, life expectancy and literacy rate. Clear? Now in this there is 1 mark question which can be asked from, see, this 4 mark question can be asked. Fine, explain the demographic profile, but one mark question can also be asked, that which year is known as year of great divide. 1921 is regarded as the year of great divide. Prior to 1991, population growth in India was never consistent. Size of the population kept on fluctuating, but after 1921, population in India showed a consistent rise. Fine. So before 1921 there was complete fluctuation in the population, but after 1921 it was a constant rise. So year of great divide is 1921. Now we have occupational structure on the eve of independence. Now see, occupation, employment, job structure. See, obviously it was poor, but poor in which sense? That majority of the population was dependent on the primary sector. Clear? So occupation structure refers to the distribution of working population across primary, secondary and tertiary sector. Tertiary sector also known as your service sector. So in primary sector, if we talk about 1951, so during that time in agriculture sector 72.7% population was engaged. In secondary sector 10.1, in tertiary sector 17.2. So maximum more than 70% of the population was engaged in the agriculture sector. So first point is agriculture sector the principal source of occupation, because reasons are because there were no job opportunities. People were not that much educated so that they could create entrepreneurs among themselves. Then there was lack of investment. There was lack of knowledge. Women, they preferred working in farms only. They preferred working in their own field or in their agriculture activities. Fine. So on the eve of independence, about 72.7% of the working population was engaged in agriculture. Now, percentage of population depending on agriculture is much less in advanced countries. In Japan, 12% of the population is dependent on agriculture. Germany, only 4% population. America, only 2% of the population is dependent on the agriculture. So this shows the backwardness of the country. Then second, we have industry, insignificant source of job, because there was less investment in the industrial sector. Fine. And unbalanced growth, third point. Now see, growth is said to be balanced when all the sectors are equally developed. However, in case of India, secondary and tertiary sector were on their beginning stage, on the infant stage of growth. Hence, conclusion that Indian economy at the time of independence was lopsided. Lopsided means one-sided. So now we have last, positive impact of the British rule in India. See, Britishers exploited agriculture sector, industrial sector, foreign trade, and at the type of independence, occupational structure, infrastructure, demographic profile, everything, every condition was pathetic. Now, there are some positive things that also they did in our country. See, first is commercial outlook of farmers. Earlier, preferred subsistence farming only. They wanted to grow the crops, but for their own family members. They wanted to grow the crops so that they can, satisfy their needs. But Britishers changed their outlook. They asked them to sell their output in the market, to earn the market surplus. So they forced commercialization of agriculture. Second, we have new opportunities of employment, monetary system of exchange, and efficient system of administration. Employment opportunities were given, then money, it brought money and efficient system.